All right. Yeah, it's coming through here.
Okay.
Sorry, a little technical difficulty. It's the story of my life. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the inaugural live of Frankfort today. Glad everybody who's out there who's can join us. If you haven't looked at my Facebook page or Craig's Facebook page, we got instructions on there how to follow and receive notifications for when we go live. If you could do that and like the page, we'd greatly appreciate it. And Craig, start us off. What's our goal? Why are we here?
We are here to just bring information that the public might want to know, just Facebook posts or information we hear, topics that interest people in town, and give them a longer forum to discuss or be discussed. We're going to have guests on periodically after our inaugural here, where we're just working out the kinks and everything. But we'll have guests from week to week, or however often we do these. We've got several lined up already, and we'll discuss their field of expertise. And today we just got some general topics to talk about, just to work through all this stuff and see how it goes.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. We've already got commitments from several people in leadership roles throughout Frankfort, different elected positions,
and business people and school people, KSU people.
Right. So people in the community who actually make a difference in our day-to-day life. That's why your local topics affect you the most, and I really think that people need to be more involved in what's going on around them rather than a lot of the noise we hear here nationally.
Yeah.
The everyday stuff that we face. I don't think people try to stay informed, and hopefully we'll be able to pull that off and bring information in. And I guess I'm going to say this before it ever gets there. We are not here to disparage, bash, disrespect anybody in any position. We're not here to support politicians. We're not here to bash politicians. We're just bringing facts.
Here to promote Frankfort small businesses, Frankfort's athletics, tourism, anything that'll boost Frankfort.
Right.
To the public.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people often forget that we have to be our own best advocate. If we're not proud of where we're at, or we see something as citizens of Frankfort that doesn't sit well with us, we don't like, well, we've got options. We can make our voices be heard. You can vote however you wish to vote to make those changes, to bring in the leadership that you need. You can ask, you can reach out to, politicians and decision makers in town. So many of them, they have constituents. That's what they're there for. If they don't hear from everybody, they have to go with what they do hear.
Yeah, one small thing I saw today was people are driving to Nicholasville to go to Taco John's. Well, we had two Taco John's, if I recall correctly.
Yes, we did. We had two. And
feedback.
Yes.
Okay. We had two, and now people are driving from Frankfort to Nicholasville. So this post said we had these, and we didn't support the locally owned Taco John's. And now everybody misses them because they didn't support the locally owned restaurant. Now they're driving all the way to Nicholasville to get the same thing we had two of here.
Yeah. Now you're driving 30 to 45 minutes.
Yeah, and we had 5 minutes from everybody's house.
Right.
or most, at least in the city.
And I find that to be a consistent problem in Frankfort. Everybody leaves Frankfort and goes to Lexington or Louisville, but every conversation we hear around economic growth or this or that about in and about town is, well, Lexington does this or Louisville does that or E-Town does that. If you don't support your local businesses, we will always be where we are,
because both of us are owners of locally owned businesses, and they're the heart of the town. They're the heart of every town.
right?
I think 85% of the businesses across the United States are locally owned. We're just not billion-dollar companies.
Right. And even when you eat at I'll say some chain restaurants, you still impact local people, local families.
Right.
You're still sending that daughter to dance lessons. You're still sending that son wherever he wants to go for his, and you're reinvesting back in your own people and your friends and your neighbors. And if we don't reinvest, you can't sit back and complain about, well, we don't have this and we don't have that. If we're not investing in our own community through participating in the economic system, you'll never generate the tax dollars to make anything happen.
Right. If we don't invest, we get empty storefronts.
Yes.
And we got a pile of
We've
empty
got
storefronts.
a bunch of them.
And people open business, and they won't shop there, but they'll go to Lexington or Louisville and spend twice the amount of money they would have spent because they're going to eat when they go to Lexington or Louisville too.
Right.
And then that store goes out of business, and then all of a sudden everybody wonders why that store went out of business.
Right. And we sit around, well, Taco John's, I love Taco John's. Why'd they go out of business? Because every weekend when you went out, you went to Taco John's in Lexington, or in this case now, Nicholasville.
Yeah.
So those are all things to keep, consider.
Support locally owned businesses at all times.
At all times. I'm in tech, so and we deal with businesses, and we're strictly business to business company, and we get great support. And we've got a couple of really really loyal and great customers here in town, and that's what got us started. Is local people supporting local people.
And y'all just crossed your 5-year mark, right?
We just crossed our 5-year mark,
which is a survivability mark for a locally owned business.
It is.
We're in our 8th year.
Right. I think 5 years. I think what is it? Something like 40 or 60% of businesses are rolled up and done.
50, yeah. It's 75% after 1 year, and about 60% after 3, and then 50 after 5.
After
you make
5.
it after 5, you're good till you sell or retire.
I hope it.
Generally.
I hope that's the case for both of us.
Well, one of the topics that I've joked about a lot
oh gosh,
is why we don't embrace the buffalo in Frankfort. Lawrenceburg, Versailles, Lexington, they've all embraced the horse.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't have Buffalo Trace. We got Buffalo Trace, the most awarded distillery on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't got a single buffalo image, none of the artwork downtown, on our welcome signs, nothing is related to the buffalo.
And you and I have talked in great depth about that. And if you notice, we got white buffaloes. When we were creating logos and stuff, that was one of the things is, if no one else will, we will. We'll be proud. Neither one of us are drinkers. I won't spend money with them, but they bring a lot of money here. They generate a lot of funds. They bring a lot of traffic.
Yeah, 500,000 visitors next year. They're thinking they're going to get. Yeah,
and they crossed like 300 last year.
Yeah, the last several years, even during coronavirus. Well, I don't think they went down a little under coronavirus.
Right.
But 500,000 people coming to Frankfort, and we don't have a buffalo, nothing. So we got to change that.
Right, and I don't get that. And that's where I'm kind of on the fence and kind of hypocritical in some aspects. I'm not a fan of
whip up the buffalo image of the welcome sign.
Oh, I didn't load that one up.
Oh, darn.
I could probably get that fairly easily, but I'm not in favor of warehouse expansion.
I am.
I know you are, and I'm not, because I do feel the effects of whiskey fungus.
Yeah.
I'm right in, Buffalo Trace is a mile from my house if you go in a straight line. I do get the after effects of the ethanol. But there are other ways that we can support and promote them, and one would be to be appreciative of what they do bring and the millions of dollars that they put into the funds for our schools through their barrel taxes.
Yeah, about $4 million a year, or close to $4 million a year there, and then $1 million in county government. I think $400,000 goes to the sheriff's office, when that eventually fades away, we're going to have to make up that money, and there's only one pot of people to make that money up.
Right.
That's you and me.
That's right.
So, like, I've got a small distillery out by my house on Crab Orchard. Buffalo Trace bought 450 acres in Anderson County. They're 2 miles away, so I'll have 2 around me. Mm-hmm. Got a landfill across the street. There's just across from the neighborhood, so there's just some kind of things you got to do. I just take it like I got to wash my car, wash my driveway. Mm-hmm. I've got vinyl. I got some vinyl on my house, and I got to wash my dad's house. Is completely vinyl.
Right.
I wash it every other year. Bar none. This is white vinyl.
I have to do mine every year.
Yeah, bright white vinyl.
Yeah. But absolutely, I agree. I don't know why we don't have a buffalo everywhere. I should not look around. I should not see a dragonfly downtown. That should be a statue of a buffalo
right in the center of town.
Right in the center of town.
Yeah,
that should be lit up at night, shining bright,
spotlights and everything. Right.
Right. I agree.
Yeah.
Because they do invest a lot in our community, and we want to be a tourist town. Well, if we're going to be a tourist town, that's everybody wants to talk about tourism, which, as we've discussed before, is the 4 blocks downtown is what everybody is kind of code for that. Then we need to promote why people are coming here. If it's Buffalo Trace,
that's the biggest draw.
That is the biggest draw by far. I mean, they've won more awards for their bourbon than any other distillery on the planet. Bourbon distillery.
And people come from across the United States because they've ate at my place, from Washington, California, just to go to Buffalo Trace. And it's not on the Bourbon Trail. So they go out of their way to go to Buffalo Trace.
When you're on top, you don't need to be on the Buffalo. Or you don't need it on the Buffalo. You don't need to be on the Bourbon Trail.
Correct.
Everybody knows where you are.
Yeah.
But anyway.
So that's enough on that. But, yeah, we do want buffaloes. One thing I called on a fiscal court meeting, or city commission meeting the other day, I know nothing about it other than what I heard, is they're looking at a restaurant tax, and that's all I know.
I wonder what that's going to be other than...
I have no clue.
Other than a higher bill for me to eat out.
I have no idea.
What's the plan with that? How are they going to use that?
I've heard it would help tourism. I don't know what they're going to do with the money. I don't know if it'll be in a restricted fund for this commission, but can up the road, the next 2 or 3 commissions, or 5 down the road in 10 years, can they take that money and suck it into the general fund and that's gone? It won't be used to upgrade parks or whatever they're going to do with it.
Well, you've witnessed that firsthand in state government restricted funds being swept away.
Yeah, 3 years we had.
But still collected.
We were in a restricted fund, and they wiped our account each year $15 million to put in the general fund. And then we couldn't keep the state vehicles up to date, which caused our maintenance to go up. But, I don't hope that doesn't happen with the restaurant tax. Right.
So that's something that everybody needs to keep an eye on. Follow your city commission meetings on Mondays on cable 10 or City Hall on Facebook when they're not in private session.
Mm-hmm. But that's it. Don't know anything else other than
because they spent like over an hour in closed door.
Yeah, and it was mentioned and then it was done, but it caught my attention, obviously. And I've been trying to find out some information. Got a little bit, but not much.
And another thing, along the same lines that they're talking about is, and I forget the proper word for it, but the short-term Airbnb is the short term stay people.
Mm-hmm.
There's a phrase for that. It's slipping my mind right now. So they're looking to expand that into neighborhoods like Silver Lake.
Silver Lakes.
So you're going to have transients coming in and out. I'm not going to go into detail about how I feel about it. I would just urge everyone to look up Airbnb effect. It's an actual real thing.
Mm-hmm.
There's plenty of documentation and articles on it that you can find on a Google search. And if you have an opinion about that and you feel strongly about it, you need to let your representative know,
Or
your
go to the city commission
or go to the meeting,
because it's in discussion right now.
Yes,
Yeah.
I think they've got it tabled for now. I couldn't get confirmation on that yet.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's going to move anytime soon, which is great because it gives you more time for your voice to be heard. I don't want this to turn into another chicken debate
Or a bourbon warehouse debate.
or a bourbon warehouse debate.
Yeah.
You know.
So, well, another thing that's near and dear to me is the sports tourism aspect. When I was younger, if it was a ball, we played it.
Mm-hmm.
If it had a ball in it, we played it. And we ended up being on travel teams going all over the eastern half of the United States, playing softball, played basketball all over Kentucky. And Frankfort was a hotbed of softball, 4 leagues, full with waiting lists to get on them. The Thursday night league that I played in was a few Frankfort teams, but mostly out-of-town teams, Shelbyville, Lawrenceburg, some Lexington teams. Pretty competitive ball. Now there's 2 or 3 league nights that are going on, and I just found out I bought in front of the picture they put a screen, so I bought the screen, and then put a restaurant logo down on the screen. I just found out today somebody took it, so they're looking for that. But promoting sports here in town.
Right.
Softball was dead. And I talked to a guy at Louisville or Shepherdsville, I think it's Louisville, Clay Hild, and hooked him up with the city manager, and where they brought 13 or 14 tournaments every year for the last 3 years to Frankfort. And then Aaron Ashcraft runs disc golf. Just happened to run upon that, but didn't even know about it in Frankfort. And I just over to East Frankfort Park and saw these guys and talked to them, put it on Facebook. Mark Wallace reached out to me and told me to contact Aaron Ashcraft. So now I sponsor a tournament in March called March Disc Madness or something like that. And that brings about 200 people to Frankfort just for that one. So Aaron and I have been trying to get other locations to build disc golf courses, because putting in a top-of-the-line disc golf course is only $18,000. And they want to use land that's full of trees that you can't use for nothing else. Sort of like a mountain bike trail, but for disc golf.
Yeah, just a little bit more open.
Yeah.
So the renovation on that land, it's not like you have to go.
There ain't no renovation.
Right. I mean, you had to clear up some, underbrush and stuff like that.
And they usually do that themselves. So we've reached out to KSU, the city, and the county. Not much luck, really. KSU's going through their financial stuff, but Aaron worked with, I think it's West 6th. Is that who's got the thing up on the north side of town?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so they put a disc golf course in. They're holding tournaments there, and then they're eating at their little facility. But that's outside of Frankfort.
Right.
I don't benefit from it. No, they do, which is good for them because they invested the money in it. But I see the cars there. I go up there and watch, and that's a lot of people coming to town from out of town.
Right.
And they're spending money. Right.
And you're going out and playing a sport for a couple hours, you're going to get hungry.
Right.
You're going
to need gasoline.
You're going to need.
If it's a 2-day tournament, you're going to need a hotel room.
Right. And right. You may not see any of it. You may not. You may not even like disc golf. In my case, the softball. When we first met back in 94, 95, you were still playing, and that was one of the things I noticed about Frankfort at that time is the adult men in this town are absolutely fanatical and insane competitors.
Oh, it was unbelievable. It was so much
unreal,
fun.
unreal.
It was so much fun.
And I don't have to. I don't have to like softball. I don't have to participate in softball. I don't even have to watch softball to know that there's revenue being generated.
Mm-hmm.
There's tax money being collected. If that is collecting, if you're looking at some kind of event, and it's generating tax funds, and a lot of those are incidental. They're just by human nature,
Mm-hmm.
we're making money.
Yeah.
We've talked about that. But I don't have to know, or enjoy softball to realize that, and to realize that there's an economic driver there, and we get those economic drivers. That's less chance that we're going to raise taxes on something else that affects all of us.
Right. Yeah,
in this case, the restaurant tax.
Yeah, we would go to Shiloh Park in Lexington and play, and then we'd eat at Chi-Chi's. That's how long ago it was. Or we would go to Louisville and play in the league, and then go to Mark's Feed Store after, 10 or 12 of us. And so that's bringing in a couple $100 they're normally not counting on.
Mm-hmm.
And go to Cynthiana, go to London, Cincinnati, Indianapolis, Atlanta. We're staying in hotels. We're eating. That's just one team of 10 guys or 12 guys. Then you get 40 teams. Like they had this thing called Firecracker on 4th of July in Frankfort. That's 400 men plus their wives or girlfriends plus their children. And they're staying here for two nights, Friday and Saturday night, and dropping a lot of cash.
Yeah. Each couple is, there's 2 servers that are getting tips that they wouldn't have got if they weren't in town. There's wage taxes because these servers are working. The entrepreneurs that are owning the restaurants, they're making money. The city's making money. Everybody's making money.
Everybody wins.
Everybody
One wins, we all win.
And, unless something like that is just completely off of your moral compass, or it becomes a destructive event,
which sports isn't.
Support it. Right,
Yeah.
right. It's none of the above. Support it. It doesn't matter if you like it. It doesn't matter if you go.
Yeah. I'm going to read off my list.
Uh-oh.
So like for adult and youth softball, Clay Hild is the adult guy. And he runs softball tournaments in 7 states. But he lives in Louisville, so he reached out and we got that going again. And youth baseball's Anthony Russell, a local guy here from Owen County, but he lives in Frankfort now, worked here. Soccer, my soccer contact was Ricky Crombie, but I really don't know nothing about soccer other than our fields aren't being used. Disc golf, Aaron Ashcraft, he's grown that in Frankfort really well. Troy Hearn's doing mountain biking, but he's also a state worker, so he doesn't have a lot of time to devote to that. Then I noticed this year we're playing 7-on-7 football. Haven't seen any basketball at all. And because like the tennis courts are, you got those pictures,
I
right?
do.
The sand part and then the blacktop. I called Katie Hedden today because she was my tennis contact, and we talked about the park on the screen there. And
that's at Juniper Hill.
That's at Juniper Hill, and they're going to make 3. Go ahead and flip to the blacktop, or go okay there. That's what they're going to do. They have 3 tennis courts plus 2 pickleball courts. Those on the right, and I asked her if that was enough with what's going on, what they have down at Frankfort High into schools to hold adult tennis tournaments to bring more revenue into town. And she said that she's not involved in it now that Parks and Rec's taking over. She doesn't know what's going on. But she had a great idea I thought was just really smart called Sip, Stay, and Play. Hold multi-day tennis tournaments. Visit Buffalo Trace. Visit Jim Beam. Visit Castle and Key. Or any of the distilleries around here.
And who does Katie work for?
Nobody.
Oh, just
she's a former city commissioner. Gave up her seat so her family moved out to the county. But sip, stay, and play. So they come in and try bourbon on day 1, spend the night, playing a tennis tournament at any of our multiple tennis fields around tennis courts around Frankfort, and they're here for 2 days. They're spending money. They're eating at restaurants. They're checking out our distilleries, checking out the businesses downtown. It's just a great idea, but somebody's got to run with it.
Right.
Like somebody's got to run with all these things. So I try to reach out and make a contact. And pickleball is going crazy. There's professional pickleball leagues. I watch it on ESPN. We've got 3 pickleball courts out at East Frankfort Park, putting 2 in here at Juniper Hill. Not Hills. It's not Hills.
I know. It drives me crazy. Hill. It's
Juniper
one hill.
Yeah, it's Juniper Hill. And I don't know if there are going to be any out at Lakeview when they do the upgrades there. I don't recall.
Right.
I'm sure there will be because it's so popular. But
so you could do a tournament like that, and you just go to a different location for each round or level of the tournament. I mean, you could rotate.
Yeah, like girls softball, 4 parks at Lakeview, youth, girls fast pitch youth. A friend of mine, Jody Hillard, coordinates that kind of stuff over there, or he runs it, or he does. He's got a big say in what goes on there. Charlie Lewis is the manager of the park, and you got 4 fields there. KSU plays down at the old State Stadium where I played Little League. A lot of us played Little League. That is a beautiful field. It's spectacular. KSU plays there now. You can convert the 4 fields at Lakeview to kids' dimensions, like they were going to do a couple weeks ago, and hold big tournaments, hold 40 and 50 team tournaments. And when you get youth tournaments, mama, daddy, brother, sister, grandma, grandpa, cousins, maybe, you could have 5 or 6 people coming with every kid.
With every one
and
child.
So a 20-team tournament could bring 800 people. And they're all going to eat. They're all going to stay in hotels.
And that's the thing for people to remember is these parents that are on travel teams or are traveling for tournaments, they've got money to spend.
And they're going to spend it.
And they're going to spend it because they're going to be hungry over 2 or 3 days when they're in Frankfurt. I know it probably seems like to some that we're driving this like into the ground, but if you watch a city commission meeting, if you watch, fiscal court or any of the political processes in town, everybody wants to spend. Why don't we utilize?
Yeah, we've already got these. We've got 2 fields at East Frankfort Park, 4 at Capitol View, 4 at Lakeview.
And what was the
State Stadium? So what's that? 13 fields.
13 fields. What was a Columbus? You said,
Columbus. They're a softball mecca. They've got 36 fields.
right.
All 36 are artificial turf from home plate to the fence. They're spectacular, and they get 1,500, 2,000 people coming to theirs.
And so many times I see things that people, the mindset in Frankfurt is like, we have nothing, but we need to spend $20 million because we need to go from nothing directly to, we need 40 artificial turf fields.
Yeah, we don't. We already got fields.
If you have 4 fields, just 4, you hold a small tournament, generate revenue, reinvest that revenue. Next year, 6 fields, reinvest. And, everybody wants to talk about, responsible growth or planned growth. There's different words that people use for it, but just reinvest the money. Use what we have.
Or invest a little bit more.
For
example, when adult softball came back to Lakeview or to Capitol View, I noticed that when I went to watch a game on one of the fields, you couldn't see the left fielder or the right fielder because all the lights were out on the poles. I said, well, what the heck is this? So I called one of my favorite city commissioners, Patricia Waldridge, and said, what can we do about this? So she got them fixed the next year.
Right.
And now they're all bright, all lit up. Now that had encouraged Clay, because he held 2 tournaments that year, to bring a 14 tournaments back to East Frankfort Park, and which I took plenty of pictures, put them on Facebook and all that stuff, and he's back in year 3 of doing the same thing. So that's bringing revenue into town that we weren't getting, but it took pushing and prodding to get it done. And you said beat it in the ground. I've beat it in the ground for the last 3 or 4 years. I've beat the crap out of it.
I think we both have, if nothing else, to one another. We'll just use Lakeview. We have 4 viable fields that are always
really nice
fields. They take excellent care of them over there.
Except one thing's missing.
What's that?
2 of the fields.
Don't have lights.
They're not lit. That stops bigger tournaments from coming here.
And one of either the city or the county, I never made a determination which one fulfilled the part, because I think they're supposed to be split half and half.
But it's in the Lakeview Park plan to get lights on those fields. I've been trying to encourage some of them to go on and do the lights now, because it's going to take a while to get the park built out.
And they will come.
They're already built, so they will come, because we got something these other towns don't have. Location. We're between Lexington, Louisville, Cincinnati. Clay was holding his tournaments in Jessamine County, and he brought them to Frankfort because he likes Capitol View Fields. And the teams that are in his association, TPA, they like Capitol View Park because it's centrally located for everybody. So we've got that beat.
So, I mean, you take this and you got 4 fields. I don't know how many teams you could have a double elimination tournament.
Yeah, 40-team tournament.
But everybody wants a big tournament. Well, we need a really big tournament. You change your mindset on that. Change the game. Flip it. We're holding an elite tournament. We want only the best of the best to show up here.
Yeah. No, we just want teams to show up.
Well, at this point, right.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if they're good teams or bad teams.
We just need somebody.
They're still teams.
Right. And they get hungry just like you and I do.
Exactly. And they want a hotel room, a nice hotel room, and we got plenty of them.
And every weekend there should be something going on.
All kinds of things going on.
I would like to think that in short order that we could have our hotels on Friday, Saturday, and even Sunday nights at 50 to 75% capacity, or even full. Sorry, we don't have any rooms. That would be a great problem to have.
Right. Well, and the other asset we're not using, we did use in the 90s, because the river, the Kentucky River.
Oh, gosh.
When I leased the Frankfort Head boat,
yeah,
and bought Lee's Boat Dock with Jim Priest, this river was rocking. I checked, and 1 out of every 10 households owned a boat registered in Franklin County. Now, they might have been at Green River or Cave Run or Cumberland, but 4,000 people in Franklin County own boats, and a whole pile of them was on the river. And so Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, you couldn't get on the river. And they'd go, stay at a couple of beaches. You could ride all the way to Boonesboro on a boat. Had a guy from New York come down the Atlantic seaboard, come up the Mississippi, hit the Tombigbee, come up the Ohio River, and stayed at the Kentucky River, and left his boat for 3 months at the Frankfort Boat Dock, because he was an American Airlines pilot. So he took a month before the summer to go that route, and then took a month going back in the fall to do the same thing. Had people from Indiana and Cincinnati every weekend. Every 3-day weekend, Memorial, 4th of July, Labor Day, we'd fill up the Capitol Plaza Hotel so much that they had a Frankfort Boaters discount for people coming up the river. And it became so popular. I even had probably about 20 of them come to our wedding.
Wow.
At the old Good Shepherd Church.
A guy I used to work with, his dad, Mike Sullivan.
Yeah, they were big on the river.
He was big on the river. Every winter, he would hop in his boat, in the houseboat, and he was always proud of that because his license number was Kentucky 1A.
Oh, so he had the first one?
The first license.
Yeah.
And I don't think he has that anymore, because I think the boat eventually, it was the houseboat was getting kind of worn and aged, but he would take it down to Florida. So he'd go all the way out to the Ohio River and down to Florida, and then in the summertime he'd bring it back.
Yeah.
And
good trip.
Yeah, it would take him, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks, or he would take 3 or 4 weeks to make that trip. And we've talked about this, many times in the last 30 years. I don't know why we aren't exploiting the river for every penny that we could have.
It ought to be lined with restaurants, lined with hotels.
You know, something. You know, every we got all these places, Goodwood, Bourbon on Main, Jim Seafood's the only thing we got, but we got a number of places that are right on the river. Why do we not have a way to get bodies from here to here?
Put docks down on the especially with Goodwood, you could put a 3-section dock there, and they could just walk right up to the restaurant.
Walk right up and eat. Extra
money. Jim Seafood tried it a couple of times. A little bit further walk because they couldn't get too close to the dam.
Right.
But
and not everybody wants Jim Seafood.
You know? But the people that came to the Frankfort boat dock, I took to Jim Seafood.
Oh, really?
And there was so much business. Remember when Cliff Hagens was here?
Yes.
They bought a 15-passenger van to pick up people to Capitol Plaza Hotel to take them to their restaurant.
Nice.
Because it's bringing business to Cliff Hagens' restaurant. Right. Enough business that they purchased a 15-passenger van to take them back and forth throughout the day on Saturday and Sunday.
Huh.
And Friday night and Saturday mostly.
That was pre-Uber days. And
right. They were their own Uber.
You know, but yeah, we've talked about that. I mean, there's just everybody who owns a boat, at least a very, very high percentage, probably 90%, have disposable income.
That's why they got a boat.
That's why they have a boat. Don't make them pack food down and take coolers and picnic baskets.
Visit the local boat dock and buy their food.
Buy their food.
Because
just
it's going to be
pull up
good.
And get off your boat. And
it's going to be good.
I don't know.
Yeah.
What else you got on our list here?
Nerd alert. This is your area.
This is my area. Nerd alert. Okay. I didn't really prepare for this.
Just talk about clicking on links that you don't know from people.
See, Craig wanted me to give some kind of tech tip, internet safety tip.
You know, have people get their Facebook hack accounts all the time?
Okay. People don't get their Facebook account hacked all the time. You'll see, this is something to be aware of. It's a good point. You'll see a lot of people say, don't take friends requests, I got hacked. Mm-hmm. No, you didn't get hacked. Somebody copied your pictures, created a new profile, and they're playing off of your face to get people to friend.
Right.
After that point, those people can become scammed.
Correct.
Because you have the immediate trust built there. Oh, that's Craig.
And they'll post a link.
They'll post a link. Here, Craig. Click here. Click here. Look at these profiles before you accept friend requests on it. They do it because it works.
Right.
And I like to see when people go, don't accept friend requests from me. You're technically not hacked, but it's good that you put out that warning to let people know that, no, I didn't create a new profile. I still have access here. I'm still good. But, yeah, be careful about that. And any links that you get in email, on your cell phone,
Facebook Messenger.
Don't click on links, people. Stop.
Period.
Stop. I've made countless dollars because people click on stuff that they're not supposed to. Stop clicking. Stop clicking.
Yeah, if you get a link, you can't say it enough. If you see a link on Facebook Messenger, call that person up and say, hey, did you send me something? No, they didn't.
Bank. If your bank said, if you get a text message or anything that purports to be your bank, click here, log in, and change your password. Don't do that. Don't do that. Start from a new browser, type in www, whatever, mybank.com, and go there. Don't click on a link if you're not 1,000% sure that it's from your bank.
Yeah, I had got a call the other day from, I think it's Puerto Rico or the Dominican Republic. This guy gets on and says, well, your Chase Amazon card is getting ready to make a $900 purchase, and it doesn't, from Alabama, and I don't think you're in Alabama, or it doesn't look like you're in Alabama.
Right.
I said, it doesn't look like. What's that? You tracking me on my card? You know, I started playing with him then. And he goes, well, I need your expiration date and your CVV. I said, what's CVV? He goes, you know that 3-digit thing at the end? And I said, well, you're Chase. You should be telling me what they are.
Right.
You printed my card. You know it. You know, one, you don't know where I'm at. Two,
Right.
you know all the information that's printed on my card. Why are you asking? Well, we just want to verify. I said, you don't do that. I know you. I said, dude, I know. I said, where are you from? You from Europe? You from Africa? You from China? You know, what are you doing? And he stayed reading the script. So I hung up on him. 2 seconds later,
2 seconds.
he spoofed another number out of New York City. Same dude. He's mad now. So I go on another minute and just hang up again, and then that was it.
Yeah, and another one that I got similar to that on banks. I haven't got this phone call. I used to work before me and a couple of friends of mine opened up our own business. I used to. I worked in Louisville for about 18 months, so I had an hour drive each way. If you want to call and scam me on the phone, let's talk. I'm not going anywhere.
Right, yeah.
And there was one going around that they wanted to lower the interest on your credit card. Just give me the number and we'll take the interest down to zero for 12 months, whatever. Right. And I said, well, what credit card company do you represent? All of them. Well, that's a lie. No one does.
Right.
No one. I worked in banking for 20 years. No one represents all the banks. No one person can lower the interest on all of your cards.
Right. But people fall for it.
People fall for it, or I wouldn't have gotten that same phone call like 6 or 8 times.
Saw a doctor, read an article where a doctor in Seattle got scammed out of $200,000. He's a doctor, you know,
intelligent, educated,
and he lost $200,000.
Right.
And so, you know, so what's the bottom line, Eric, on these links on Facebook?
Don't click. Please, for the love of all that is holy, don't click.
And if they do, what happens? They call you.
They call me. No, only if you're a business.
Yeah. Correct.
We don't do residentials.
Correct. Yeah.
But
businesses get hacked.
They do. We've got a lot of tools to put in the way of that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, just be careful. If it sounds too good to be true, I know everyone has heard that. That's not a new phrase. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Mm-hmm. No one's giving you money. No one's lowering your interest rate. No prince is trying to send you money.
Saudi Arabia, come to Saudi Arabia and I'll pay you.
Oh, on that, if you sell on Facebook Marketplace, this is one I think people really need to be made aware of, especially people our age who tend to be not as tech savvy as we are. If you sell anything on Facebook Marketplace, a lot of times people will want to try to send you money with Cash App or something like that. I'll pay you full price, whatever, if you'll mail it here. Don't do it because you're probably using a stolen account or a stolen credit card to fund that account. And once your item is shipped off, they'll never meet in person. And once your item is shipped off, that charge gets reversed by the credit card. You're broke. And they have your item.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. The credit card company will come back and get that money.
Yes, they will take it away.
And then you lost your item for free.
For free.
Plus probably paid postage to UPS it somewhere. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So if you do marketplace, cash only, in person, public place, well lit, in the daylight.
Okay.
So anyway.
Well, that's all the topics I had thought up.
I think we got them all.
Yeah, we got them all. Just to open it up and see how it worked and hear from people.
I know Jonathan Gabby was looking forward to it.
Yeah, he hit
Jeanette Wilson says a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, Jonathan hit me up last night. Said, y'all going to really do this? Yeah.
You know, this is where I could talk about things like that forever. People always say, well, what if people don't like it or who cares? Then you have 2 viewers on your live, but you're having fun.
Yeah, and we wanted to grow because we do know a lot about going on in Frankfurt. We're not afraid to call people and ask about it.
Right.
I tried like heck to find out information on that restaurant tax. I just couldn't get it.
Just couldn't get it.
But
Still
it'll come out eventually, and we'll be paying attention to it because we'll know if it will hurt our business. Because like at my place, 95% of our customers are locals.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about these other restaurants, so it will increase my customers' cost.
Right. Well, because that goes on the invoice or on the receipt.
It'll say, it won't say this is from Da Vinci's. It'll say, your elected official did this or something. So,
McKenna said, your daughter and favorite niece is happy to have your phone calls public. And it'll be like a sales tax. It's not going to be hidden. It'll be like
we'll detail it out. I've already checked. We can itemize it out on
most
on
people,
receipts.
Well, I think you have to on taxes.
Yeah.
I think you have to. It's like a hotel, tax.
Yeah.
They're always itemized, and so you're going to have your $30 bill with 6% sales tax, with 1%, 2%, 1.5, whatever number they come up with, restaurant tax, art tax, whatever taxes they. So, and I hope all restaurants, and I hope everyone does do that on those extra taxes, and it's a passive way to draw attention to all the ways you're getting taxed.
Yeah, and I just hope it doesn't get sucked into the general fund. I think we talked earlier, where it'll disappear, and that'll be it. So I think we've hit everything that I had wrote down.
Oh, Jonathan says you should take a question, or you should take questions. We'll take questions. Put them in there. We're reading the comments. I'm looking at Facebook right now, so always don't hesitate to put a question in there if you have them,
because we do offer opinions.
And if there are certain things that that's going on in Frankfurt you want to hear about, maybe certain key people in Frankfurt that you want us to try to bring on, let us know. Between the two of us, we probably know all of them. Craig knowing 99%, me maybe 1. But yeah, I mean, Craig's not afraid to make that phone call. Hey, come on the show.
Right.
Yes or no. It's that simple. It's binary. They either will or they won't.
And nobody said no yet. So I think it's going to be fun. We got 4 microphones here.
That's right.
Got some more stuff ordered. So we're going to try to go top of the line and get some real movers and shakers in town that will take questions online, take our questions. We're not going to do no gotcha questions or do any gotcha questions. We're not going to embarrass nobody. No. It's just informational only. And because if we try to do gotcha questions like some of these places do, we won't get anybody else.
Right, and we don't want to do that. We, Craig and I have talked pretty long and hard about this. If you want someone on here to be called out, embarrassed, or whatever,
not going to happen.
Not going to happen. We're both business owners. We try to stay apolitical publicly on this kind of stuff. Half of our customers are Democrat. Half of them are Republican, conservative, liberal, however you want to split them up. Some people like this politician. Some people don't like it. I don't care. I don't care who you vote for. We just want facts. If we get information out there and you become a more informed audience, then we have won.
Right.
Everyone has won. Because
the paper's not running 6 days a week now. So it's a while before you hear about something,
and they won't ask controversial questions. Yeah. I've called them out a bazillion times.
Yeah, and I nerd out, when I'm doing stuff at home. I'll have the fiscal court meeting on, or the city commission meeting on, or the planning and zoning meeting on, just so I know what's going on in town. Doesn't benefit me none.
Right.
But, it's better than staring at the TV and watching all the crap that's on TV now. So, Rode mics are good, Jonathan. Oh, yeah, I got 4 more mics besides these, so we could do big time.
Is this something we put together?
Just an idea. If it works, it works. If it don't, it don't. We've tried a lot of things, and you learn from failure. And when we get these
Was it
people on,
WD-40 was made 39 times before they got it right?
that's right, yeah. And I think people will be surprised with the folks that we get on here. And if they do on the comment section here on the side, we can ask those of the guests that we have. So it's going to be pretty fun, I think.
And that's
really
not to
looking
say that
forward
we
to it.
won't ask him hard questions. I mean, sometimes, that's the thing that I get aggravated about with the State Journal. They won't ask hard questions. They are oftentimes very biased, and it shows.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'll ask a conservative just as hard of a question as I will a liberal, or vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
Whether I agree with, I don't know, whatever topic you ask the question, doesn't matter if I agree or disagree with it. Somebody wants to know the answer. Ask them the question. Let the person.
It's the only way you learn.
You get the factual information from the people who are in control of the decision.
Right. And if you don't ask, you'll never learn. Right. You can't be afraid, because the worst thing they're going to say is no. It's like asking a pretty girl on a date. Worst thing she's going to say is no. But if she says yes, who knows?
That's a friend of mine in high school. That was his theory. And he got some of the prettiest dates. How you do it? He said, I ask. He said, I got a 50% chance of going out on a date with an attractive woman.
Yeah. So just ask the questions. We're going to ask the questions. We're going to be prepped. I've talked to these folks over the last couple of months about doing this, and they immediately said yes. Nobody even hesitated. So our first guest is going to be the sheriff of Franklin County, Chris Quire. And then I'm going to try to get one other guy to come on with him to talk about some of the really cool things that he has led, or he's worked with other people to lead. So we'll have Chris Quire on here, and I haven't confirmed yet with the other person I'm thinking about. But he had told me a month ago that he would. Yeah. Just got to work the schedules out.
We'll work it out.
Yeah.
Jonathan Gabby did ask. One question of his, or one comment of his, is why it seems that Frankfort wants tourism to bolster the lack of homegrown economic activity. Is that fair to say?
Not sure I understand. Read it again.
Why does it seem Frankfort wants tourism to bolster the lack of homegrown economic activity?
I think tourism's the number 2 thing for the whole Commonwealth of Kentucky. Everybody wants tourism dollars because they got expendable income.
That's right.
We're the capital city, so that's automatic draw. We got a lot of old buildings.
Best distillery in the world.
Well, we got the best distillery in Jim Beam. We got the bottling plant, or whatever, Jim Beam, in Buffalo Trace.
But I say Buffalo.
Excuse me, yeah. And then Jim Beam, by volume, is the number 1 selling bourbon on the planet.
Yes.
By volume. Yeah.
Fireball.
Well, white label, black label, all of it.
All of it.
The only reason I know that, on the liquor store, I don't drink, but, And so you want tourism to bolster your business. It helps keep a lot of, I know 2 restaurants for sure. I've been told by the owners that Buffalo Trace keeps their doors open. And from the people coming around. So that's 2 benefits right there. And they're employing local citizens to work in those businesses, generating local taxes. Then they're spending their money. There's the rule of thumb that for every $1 that's brought into a business, it turns over 7 times in the community. So if we can fill more of these empty buildings, and maybe even talk to the KSU students at the business college once they graduate with their business degrees, instead of them going back to their hometown, get them to open up a business in Frankfort.
Right.
But we got to make it easy for them to open up a business in Frankfort.
We get, thousands and thousands of cars drive between Lexington and Louisville. Tens of thousands. I wouldn't even know where to begin to guess that number. Either people going from one city to the other, people going through the state of Kentucky. If we have stuff to do, if we have something that we can be known for, and it takes time. It's not easy effort. There's thousands of opportunities an hour that go by. But I'm going to comment a little bit differently on that. For Jonathan, tourism wants tourism to bolster the lack of homegrown economic activity. They go hand in hand. Craig and I talked about this before lunch. If we go out to another town, both of us and our wives say we're not eating at a chain restaurant.
Right. We hunt down the locals.
Right. My wife does not like to eat. She'll say, "Why do I want to eat at McDonald's in Timbuktu when we've got 2 of them in Frankfort?"
Mm-hmm.
So the tourism and the homegrown economic go hand in hand. If we would do a better job of supporting local and small businesses as a community and as a local government, and make the process of establishing those local businesses more easily or quicker, then tourism supports those as well. So I think they had to go hand in hand.
Right. Well, and David Hecker points out, there it is, adventure tourism with Elkhorn Creek.
Mm-hmm.
The river we talked about, mountain bike trail we talked about, hiking trails, not sure on. I don't know about that. I don't know about hiking trails. But I guess you could hike a mountain bike trail. I reckon it's still 12 miles, no matter how you do it.
Oh, we've got land that we could do that kind of thing with, David. I mean, I think there's opportunity to expand it for sure. There's a lot of adventure nuts out there.
I mean, we could go crazy and build what are those things with the ride down the wires?
Zip lines?
Zip lines from the back of Collins Lane across the Kentucky
Straight
River.
to Da Vinci's Pizza.
No, straight to Capitol View Park. That'd be a heck of a ride.
There you go. But yeah, there is a lot of people that are into that. And you were talking about disc golf earlier. I live over near Lakeview Park.
Yeah.
And their disc golf courses, by Stedman Town Lane, and there are people there all the time.
Right.
And they'll have a backpack that, with like 40 to 50 disc in it.
Right.
Like there are some I never would have thought, but there are some really, really hardcore disc golf players.
Well, if you'll drive from southern Indiana and then meet a friend from Cincinnati at East Frankfort Park, that's what opened my eyes to it.
That's dedication.
That's when I put it on. It was 40 degrees. It was mist and rain. And those guys were out there still playing the course. And
they do a good job at Lakeview keeping it nice.
Yeah, Lakeview and East Frankfort Park's one.
The fairway in the rough, definite separation there.
Yeah, and East Frankfort Park's one of the best disc golf courses in Kentucky, I've been told. So let's see. Matthew says there's not a lot of good public access take-on points for Elkhorn Creek that are safe.
That's absolutely true.
Yeah,
because so many of them are on private property.
Right.
And there's nothing that can be done.
Yeah.
You do not have any right to cross somebody's private property to get to a creek.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they've been pushing where, and I don't know if it was in Kentucky. I just read something about it not too long ago, where the property owners claim, and it may be legally accurate, I'm not sure, that they own halfway into the water.
They own the dirt under the water, but not the water.
Not the water.
So if you're not out of your kayak or you're not fishing in there, your feet are on the bottom of the creek, that could be trespassing. But if you're floating along on the water, since nobody owns the water, then it's not trespassing. There was a deal when I worked at the sheriff's office over there off Georgetown Road where people were trashing the homeowners' yards to go back there and fish. And they ruined it for everybody that was utilizing those areas. So that's where I learned about how that works.
Jonathan asked again, would you say that Frankfort is a more difficult city to start, run, and grow a business?
No doubt.
Absolutely. In the city of Frankfort, within the city limits, when we started ours, it took us literally 4 months to get our business license, like the actual piece of paper that says thou can now go into business.
Yeah.
They told us to go on and just start doing business, and they'd get everything worked out later. The
We couldn't
process
do
is
that.
not, huh?
We couldn't do that.
You couldn't do that because the health department has to
And
say,
the housing building, we dealt with 17 different agencies. I just happened to know people in 16 of them had their phone
The help.
numbers from playing sports and or worked with them in state government. So I could call them up to speed it up, but it still took us about 5 months.
right. So yeah, the process is not streamlined. It's not smooth. And we've talked to people from outside of Franklin County that say, we'll have a business license in your hand within 24 to 48 hours.
Yeah, Jody
Not
Lassiter,
business hours, like two 24-hour periods.
Right, I worked with Jody Lassiter. He was, I think, chief of staff for Governor Patton. And then he became the economic development director in Danville. So he tried to get us to bring a restaurant down there. And I said, man, how long would it take? He said, well, the longest it took is 11 days, but generally I get them done in about 3. I said,
For a
"You mean-"
restaurant.
I said, you mean we could have our doors open in 3 days? He goes, yeah, and I'll hold your hand and help you find a location, and then we'll help you through the whole process of getting your building built out and where you can open your doors. The government was working with the entrepreneur to get their business open.
Because they know as soon as you open the door, they're going to start making money.
Yeah.
And what a lot of people don't think about or don't realize, and especially for you guys in the restaurant business, delays cost huge money, or at least have a potential for huge money. You've got to buy thousands and tens of thousands of dollars worth of equipment just to prepare the food.
Right.
You have to have raw goods to convert into a sold product. And if I had to buy that and then I'm delayed 3 months because I can't sell food, some of that's perishable. And a lot of people, you're still paying rent on a building. The landlord doesn't care that the city can't get their stuff together.
Or whoever can. You know, the
Right.
state's involved too,
Yeah.
and the health department. A lot of different entities you got to deal with. You got to get your hot water heater inspected from state plumbers. And I just happened to know a guy. So he came down and did it, and we passed, and all that stuff. There's no getting around the regulations, and you don't want to get around the regulations. You want to operate a safe business.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But you don't want it to take 6 months or 9 months to get your
Right,
business
yeah.
open.
And neither one of us would encourage, running business illegally or not on the up and up, and not, especially food business in the safest, cleanest, above and beyond the standard. But that's the difficulties, Jonathan, is just getting through the red tape. There's no one, because there's so many different entities that you have to work with. There's not a good process that ties everything together. There's no one in Frankfort that takes accountability, like the guy in Danville said, I will get you through this. I will hold your
Jody
hand.
said, I will help you get your business open. Troy Young, the mayor of Lawrenceburg, said the same thing.
Right.
Bring a restaurant up here. I'll find you a location, and I'll help
Right.
you get it open. But when we opened ours, with me knowing the mayor, the county judge, all the city commissioners, all the fiscal court members, I only had one stop by the whole 5 months we were trying to get open to check on us and see what they could do to offer us help.
And if you didn't know him personally, you probably wouldn't heard from him.
Yeah, so if they're not checking on me, are they checking on people they don't know?
Now, we recently moved our business to the county outside the city limits, and there wasn't any reason for doing it other than an opportunity to move to a nicer space, opened up for us. When I called the county or emailed the county to get a business license, and I can't remember the lady's name, I was done. They had me a business license, active and ready to go in like 2 days.
Yeah.
Just the
cool.
business license part. There's
Just the license part.
right.
But they didn't say, well, you'll get it in 7 to 10 business days, which is 2 weeks.
Nope. I had it emailed to me in under 48 hours.
Yeah. So that's good.
So that's excellent.
Yeah.
And that was in January. That was in January
Of this year, right?
Of this
When
year.
y'all moved.
Yes,
Yeah.
we moved in January this year. Let's see. Oh my gosh. Why is it difficult? I think we answered our perspective on that, Jonathan. If you have any other specific questions, throw them up there. just the continuity from beginning to ready to open your doors is there's no continuity, and unless you're a serial entrepreneur and know people and know the ropes, there's no one to get you from point A to point B.
Yeah. And I'm a member of the DIG group, Developers Interest Group. That's about 40 of the smartest people I've ever met in my life. And
There's some good guys on there.
yeah, they're moving and getting a lot of things done. They're meeting with the people that get things done. We heard some interesting stories at the last meeting from outside of Frankfort entrepreneurs that are spending millions of dollars in Frankfort upgrading some downtown buildings. Good and bad, but it was really, really eye-opening. A couple of them said they would reinvest in Frankfort. One guy was adamant, said he would never do it again because of all the trouble he's had.
Oh, really?
And he's doing a $3 million renovation on a property. So it ain't like we're talking about people like you and I that can't turn a 10-story building or a 5-story building into something.
Right.
It was really, really it's the best meeting I'd attended of all the DIG meetings I've been to so far. It was really eye-opening.
Well, and there's a couple guys that participate in that. Pretty sure they do, that develop and build, revitalize properties.
There's many.
Well, there's a couple that do in multiple counties throughout the Kentucky, not just in Frankfort. Yeah, there's some in Frankfort. Yeah, I know pretty much all the Frankfort guys are, but Frankfort for them ranks among one of the harder communities to get things done.
That's what those panelists said we've earned our business unfriendly tag. But city commission and the fiscal court are trying to change that. They're trying to make it easier.
Right.
We're making progress with these two boards, two elected officials. Mayor wants to make us a gig city. Is that right?
Yeah.
Where people work here, live here, but their job might be in San Francisco.
Right.
But they live in Frankfort and they're bringing a big salary, but because we got a lower cost of living, their dollars go further.
And
So
that's
really
real popular with a lot of young people. It's like, they'll work on a temporary contract basis for 4, 6, 12 months doing some kind of work for a company remotely, and what do they need? What do they want? They want a nice apartment to live in. They want high-speed internet to do their work on, and they want good places to eat. Because people like that typically, they're probably, most of them aren't interested in cooking at home.
Yeah.
There's, good takeout.
Matthew Conway asked a tough question.
Uh-oh.
What's your take on people buying rental property, fixing them up, and renting them out for $1,000 to $1,500? Most people having to rent can't afford those prices. That's a big discussion topic between our elected officials about affordable housing in Frankfort, which drives the price of everything.
I'm trying to formulate an answer that conveys my passion that's not overly offensive or political to half of the people out there in Franklin County. And I say half because half people support something and half people don't support something. That is one of the reasons why I personally am not for the expansion of Airbnb, because it promotes that.
Mm-hmm.
Because on Airbnb, one of the many things, if you look up Airbnb effect, one of the many things that will happen is a house will go up for sale. Somebody will come in and overpay for it, which is great for the seller. If you're trying to sell grandma's house that just passed away, great for you because you just made more money than it was worth. But it takes housing out of the community. Now you've got temporary housing for transients, which naturally drives the prices up for every other house in town. Because they go, well, they can get $1,500 a week for that house. I can.
Then a PVA is forced to bump it up.
Yes, and everybody's proper. There's so many effects to that. I am not for it, but I don't think that there is a way that you can necessarily stop it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have that answer.
Right, but one of the things with the higher apartments, that's business, that's capitalism. And when people say, well, there's not affordable housing or this business should do this or this business should do that, well, jump in the entrepreneurial pool.
Right.
Open a business that does what you want done. Don't wait on somebody else to do it. Do it yourself.
Right.
And you help your community grow or you benefit your community somehow. But as to the Matthew's direct question, it's causing rents to rise. No answer for that. That's business.
Yeah.
And if people got the money, they're going to pay it. And if they don't, then the landlords will lower the rent.
But he went on to say he feels like it drives lower income people out of Frankfort, and I totally agree. Lexington has that problem too.
To a degree, because if they're lower income, how can they move out of Frankfort?
They don't have a choice. I get your point. It's like the people who have no money who always call their lawyer or threaten to call their lawyer.
Right. Yeah.
Like, you don't have a lawyer.
I don't have.
You
a
don't
lawyer.
have a car. You don't. I know you don't have a lawyer.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't have a lawyer on retainer. Got one I can call. Don't have them on retainer.
Yeah. Me neither.
So
customers.
But yeah, I do agree, Matthew, that it does drive. It makes it harder on lower income people. So you end up with, decent housing that is overpriced, and then slumlord pricing that's not fit to live in. That people who used to live in decent middle income type housing are now forced to make a downgrade because everything else decent has been like skyrocketed. And it is business. I don't disagree with that either. It's business is what happens. But I really don't know.
And the guys that do these upgrades, they're buying houses that are, dilapidated, some, or they're buying a business that a building has been empty forever, and they're turning it into a taxable property, which helps everybody. It keeps our taxes lower by them rehabbing those buildings or rehabbing those homes. I don't know anything about Airbnbs. I've not stayed in them. I'm not up to speed on what they're trying to do here in town. Know some people that own them, but that's about as far as it goes. That's about as far as it goes for me.
Yeah. There's a couple neighborhoods they're wanting to expand that in, and
so it's not a countywide or citywide thing.
It's city.
They're targeting certain neighborhoods, or
it's restricted where you can do that now, but they're looking to allow that to be expanded into like Silver Lake, I think Indian Hills, a couple of.
I've seen some citizens from
but you'll
Silver
notice
Lake.
You'll notice that there are certain neighborhoods that do not get affected by these type of things. But
well, I know in one of those neighborhoods there is a house that is rented out. I used to know the owners, and the reason I know that is because we're one of the recommended restaurants for that house.
Oh, okay.
And we deliver out there pretty regular.
Oh,
so it's
just not supposed to be.
I don't know what the deal is, but it's that was my first experience.
Your job's to deliver the pizza, not ask questions.
Right. Yeah. So Jonathan wrote another post you want to read.
Yet in downtown Frankfort, when my wife and I would walk downtown after eating at a local restaurant, I would see a nice house next to one that was dilapidated or junky looking.
That's where your city inspectors come into play.
Like people had no pride in where they lived.
Mm-hmm.
Jonathan, dude, I could talk about that for days. I don't know that I want to get into pride, community pride. It's something that I get pretty frustrated about.
Yeah. You can't win in this. You can't win offering anything on this because the person owns a house. It's their house.
Right.
They can do with it what they want. But the neighbors don't like what they're doing. And that's when you get the bad neighbor thing.
Well, I would take that I would expand what Jonathan said into a direction that encompasses the entire city of Frankfort and half of the county.
Well, but things are changing down there. I know this. We've got a good city commission, and they're working on a lot of these things. I hear there's a lot of good things going to happen within the city and within the county. I just can't get it out from nobody what all these good things are. They're keeping it secret.
Keeping it. We
They're
normally
doing a good
have
job.
We normally have sources and people in the know that know that we don't mention names if we talk about things we hear.
And I wonder if it's going to dry up because we're doing this podcast. We'll have to go different routes.
I bet some of those people that start doing this, nope, I don't know anything.
But just know that it's not going to be bashing.
No.
It's going to be promoting Frankfort at all opportunities. I talked to Tim Farmer Monday night. He called me, said he had a great meeting with some elected officials.
Good.
Tim Farmer, if you're not a hunter or fisherman, Tim Farmer did Kentucky Afield for decades, at least, I think 20 years at least. And now he's gone out on his own after he retired from that job. And on his YouTube channel, 175 million views, 175 million views. By far, I mean, probably if you added up everybody in Kentucky, he still got more views than the other 4 million people in Kentucky.
That's roughly 350 million eyes.
Right. And from the West Coast to the East Coast, KET, PBS, his own YouTube channel. He did a 20-minute show on canning tomatoes. It's got almost 1 million views just on canning. That's how popular this guy is. And then when he does live cooking shows, people from across the United States come to his house in the deepest, darkest parts of the county, and he does the shows there. But he's trying to get it where he can get out of his house and open up something in Frankfort. That's why he met with those officials. Mm-hmm. Hopefully he can pull it off. He just opened up a music studio across from Rupp Arena in downtown Lexington. And he's got E-Town. He's got several different cities that are wanting him to come to their towns to do his business. But he doesn't want to leave Frankfort. He's of age now that he doesn't want to do all that driving. He's done it for his whole life. He wants to stay local. He wants to promote Frankfort. I understand Frankfort's bought an ad on his YouTube channels, and he would be able to put Frankfort on the map on a lot of these tourist shows. You know, these cooking shows that people watch from Canada. He had somebody from British Columbia come to his house for a cooking show.
Huh.
The last one, he had somebody from Texas.
That's nice.
You know, husband and wife kind of thing. So,
Jonathan, I would talk about pride. And there are a couple of people we know that we could ask questions of if we brought them on the show for the specific things that I talk about or that I'm passionate about. It's just an overall pride in the city, you know, from interstate to interstate. Well, I guess if you go, you know, if you make the loop from one side of the city to the other, if you pay attention and just look around, you'll see if you're observant, you'll see what I see, and I won't bash or say anything right now. But if we're going to claim tourism as the hill we're going to die on that we want to do, we have to remember that people come off of the interstate into our town from the interstate, from 127.
The main corridor being I-64 down 127, like you're describing.
Yes. 127 or either one of the interstate exits. That's the main ways that people come into Frankfort. Pay attention and see what you see. Pay close attention, like minute detail attention. That's the frustration that I get. But we do have people that can help us dissect what could be done.
And we point these things out had many discussions with our elected officials about these kind of things, and a lot of things have happened. Both Frankfort welcome signs
You got
were
those fixed?
repaired. Katricia Walters did that. There was a tree that fell over across from Dairy Queen.
You
I kept-
nagged until somebody did
I kept
something about
making a
that?
joke about anytime I saw free firewood, somebody wanted free firewood, I say, there's a tree right there, go chop it up.
Yeah, it is. Chop it up.
And
No one else is doing it.
yeah, it sit there for a year. I watched it for a year. I drove by it every day going to work, and it just drove me up a wall.
And this is where I get into things that everybody wants to spend millions of dollars on building something that we don't need or that we're not ready for or whatever. We've got a proposed deficit budget for next year.
I don't know if it's a deficit. They're making a lot of cuts right now to cover up this fiscal budget,
and that may be the
which
end
they
result.
have to, yeah.
But initially, wasn't it like $4 million deficit?
And they're working their way through that. Yeah,
And they're taking fiscal, and that's not a bash on the city. They are making efforts and trying to right size that budget and get rid of that deficit, but understanding that a lot of things that I see, and I won't speak for Craig, that we could improve upon, there is a cost. I mean,
there's small victories. If you do these little things, they make a huge difference.
Well, if it's like anything, I learned this from a civics teacher that I had in high school. He called it civic virtue, and I've tried to look up that word and I never could find it. But he described it as just having pride in your community. Like if you're walking down the sidewalk, you see a piece of trash,
put it in your pocket.
You pick it up. Frankfurt's great about trash cans all over downtown. Throw it in a trash can. Civic virtue. That's having pride in your community. It is catching. It does spread, but it has to start with someone somewhere. So if we take these little victories and we start changing that mindset, it ends up being a huge victory because now everyone,
they all add up.
Yes,
small victories lead to big victories.
Yeah, because you get now everybody sees that piece of paper laying on the sidewalk and says that's not right. That needs to be picked up.
Just the other day, I posted on my Facebook page, so not anything. Someone reached out to me about the crosswalk at Elkhorn Middle School beside Crestwood.
Yeah.
Sent me some pictures of the sidewalk going up. I don't know if it's bypass for Sales Road. I don't know what that's called.
I don't know what that's
called. I always call it the Thornhill bypass, but one where the crosswalk is a white crosswalk. And there's a sidewalk most people probably don't even know about, but there's a sidewalk leads up to Crestwood subdivision. And the picture showed fallen trees, overgrown brush, and all this kind of stuff. And little children were walking through it.
Is that where the overhead comes down?
Right, yeah.
Back down to the ground?
Right, yeah. And so I reached out to the mayor, and in just a few days, cleared out. I got other pictures from that same person where it had been cleared out, all the brush gone, looks great, it's safe, and they were just tickled to death. That's a small victory that just a couple phone calls made happen, and the little children loved it, and the person that leads those children loved it.
Well, we've been at this about an hour and a half now.
Thank you, Jonathan.
And
you're 60.
Let's see, 1 hour, 24 minutes, and 59 seconds.
About 25 minutes longer than we was going.
I was going to say about an hour longer than what we were shooting for.
Well, probably so an hour, yeah.
And we've got, we just have had number 19 join. People are still watching. That's a good sign. So,
and we'll be watching the views over the next week. See if anybody else checks in.
Check in, comment, share. Make sure you follow.
Spread the word.
And go to Craig or I's page. One of us will post it on here.
What's your name? What's your name?
Eric.
Eric what?
Elder.
Yeah, Craig Blanton.
Just look. I posted and tagged Craig in it on how to follow and get alerts for going live. To get alerts for a page going live. To make sure that that you're notified when we go live. Right now, we're playing on like every 2 weeks. That may increase, decrease, depending on everything. So
Yeah, Matthew just asked how often are you going to do these. I want to do them once a week, but I'm retired. Eric's still got a job, still got young children, so we're going to start out once every 2 weeks.
I'm pretty busy.
And his children are my nieces and nephews.
That is a fact. We that's my ex brother-in-law.
Yeah,
We still claim each other.
still call each other Bill, brother-in-law. So,
but yeah, thank you, Anthony. Appreciate that. Appreciate the compliments.
yeah, Anthony's a good guy.
Just if you have questions, message the page. We'll both get them. If you know us personally, send us a text. Give us a phone call.
Hey, and talk sports. I know sports. Eric knows music. If you start asking music questions, I'm stepping out of the way. If you're
I'm
U of
techie.
L, U of L, UK, NBA, any pro sport. I love sports. We can talk about all the trades going on in the NBA right now.
I like America's team, and that's it. Dallas Cowboys. I was born in Texas. It's a law to be a Dallas Cowboys supporter in my family.
And when they're good, when they're 14-2, everybody likes Dallas.
I know. Then as soon as they blow
When they're
up
6-10, nobody likes Dallas.
As soon as they blow a playoff, another year in a row, everybody's back on them again. But at least we don't have a whole lot of people going to jail or beating their wives.
In Frankfort?
No, Dallas Cowboys. It's not like some teams out there.
You're talking about the players.
Yes. Most of the players keep themselves out of trouble.
Jerry Jones keeps them in line.
He does.
Because he writes their paychecks.
That's right. I think they overpay for a lot of people, but that's a different question. But what are your thoughts on tonight's NHL draft?
I know they play on ice. That's about it.
That's me.
I can't figure out what the blue line is. Not trespassing, offside.
Icing and
I don't know what all that stuff is.
Yeah. I know that when one guy throws down his stick and grabs the other guy's jersey and pulls it over his head, it's about to get good. And
you want to see a fight, go to a hockey game.
Right. I've never been tough enough to play hockey because I think those guys, they had to. I mean, borderline crazy or extremely tough because they're really hard on each other.
Yeah, they wear a lot of pads.
Oh, that's true too.
But I've ice skated twice, maybe 3 times in my whole life. It was fun, but that's why I've only done it 2 or 3 times.
Go Cards.
Now David is a sports announcer for many, many different teams. And David, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think David announces the midnight Lexington semi-pro or pro hockey league, whatever it is, and maybe one in Louisville too. But those midnight games I hear are packed and crazy.
Oh, really?
Tons of fun. Is that right, David? So
I guess Lexington just has the one ice rink.
Got me. I'm just getting my info from
Is
David.
It over there off Yellowstone?
I'm just getting my info from David.
Over off Yellowstone?
Yeah.
It's not real big, but
it's a great crowd from what I hear.
Well, I mean, packed is packed.
Yeah.
You can't justify a bigger anything if you can't pack the smaller.
Right.
And
it doesn't matter what your sport is. If you're good at it, that's great. If you win it all, I mean, if you're the world champion of tiddlywinks, what do they call you? World champion.
World champion, that's right.
Yeah. So sports are fun.
UK.
There you go.
Yeah, UK club hockey, famous for their midnight games.
And David, I think, announces those and has a lot of fun announcing
I've watched
those.
the Thoroughbreds play a couple of times.
KSU
back in the
Thoroughbreds?
day. No, isn't that what the Lexington hockey team was called?
Tell us, David.
What was the Lexington semi-pro or something like that?
Yeah, Jonathan said.
Heck, it's been 15 years ago.
Yeah.
20.
Yeah.
The minor league baseball teams, I like to watch those too.
Those are fun.
Banana Ball. You ever watch Banana Ball?
Yeah.
It is insane.
Out of Georgia.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know that I would enjoy that. That's more. That's not.
That's
Baseball.
more fun than
That's
you're.
not baseball.
That's more fun
That's
than you're used to
entertainment.
having.
That's entertainment. That's all that is.
Dollars.
Thoroughblades.
Thoroughblades. Okay.
Yeah.
No, it's close.
Yeah, but that's entertainment. That's not. I mean, there's some good players, but it's just not real baseball. I'm a real baseball guy.
Yeah, Cool Cats. No, it was the Thoroughblades that we would watch. He said the UK is called the Cool Cats.
But I know there's some Louisville fans in here, Anthony, and see where he said got Go Cards 23. He's a big U of L fan. So we'll talk U of L UK. We'll trash talk and smack talk over the winter.
Yes, Jonathan, the Savannah Bananas. They're awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm not a diehard sports fan like, well, 3/4 of you are out there.
Mm-hmm.
Like I do like you. I do like sports. I do support UK. But unlike a lot of UK fans, I wasn't angry when Louisville won the NCAA in basketball.
Oh, I flipped out.
I wasn't.
No, when they won it. No,
when they won
I
it.
thought you were talking about the first UK U of L game.
No. When U of L won the NCAA tournament, because
It's good for
Kentucky brought the trophy home.
It's good for Kentucky.
It
Good
is.
for the state.
It is.
Even if it is Louisville, Anthony.
But there are a lot, and you know them. You know some. There are a lot of diehard UK fans that will snub off U of L fans.
No, I'm not like that.
That's okay if they're-
Louisville's my second favorite team.
That's okay if they're playing against each other. Just trash talk a little bit.
Yeah.
but
which
heck,
we do.
they
Twitter.
won the championship.
Yeah, Twitter and Facebook. It's just unbelievable.
I think they're just bitter because they got Patino.
I love
At that
Rick,
time.
I love Rick Pitino.
I think history will have him as the greatest coach ever in basketball.
He could have won 7 or 8 championships at Kentucky.
I think he'll dethrone Adolph Rupp.
No, that ain't never going to happen. Too many victories.
Too many victories. You think
Yeah.
history's done wrote that one?
Oh, yeah. He's always mentioned with Fog Allen and all the early coaches, John Wooden, all those guys. That's why there's national trophies, for awards for those guys. So, if you got basketball, whether professional, college, baseball, about the only channel I watch is ESPN. So I get to see, even if it's just in the background while I'm working, I'm still listening. And NBA is going crazy with trades right now. Hadn't found too many people on Facebook that are interested in NBA, but they're amazing athletes.
Mm-hmm. I like motorsports. If it runs on gasoline, goes really fast, I like it.
Left-hand turns.
No, not so much that. I like motorcycle racing more than anything.
Oh, yeah. Motorcycle racing is fun to watch.
Yeah, because when they crash,
Is it
people get
fun
hurt.
to watch or is it the crashes?
No, I like to watch them.
Yeah.
Because I think it takes an infinite higher amount of skill to do what they do, as opposed to NASCAR driving.
Because there ain't much tread.
All right. No,
on
there's
asphalt
not. I mean, you're
at 170 miles an hour.
your front tires got about the size of your fist.
Maybe, yeah, on the side.
Yeah.
When they make a turn and their knees bashing the asphalt.
Yeah.
But we can have sports thing once we get our viewership built up.
But you got to find something more interesting than sports.
I love sports. It's a real He-Man kind of thing.
Entrepreneurship.
Yeah, I like that too. I've touched a few in that, but yeah, it's been we've been on here a long time now.
Yeah, we have.
It's an hour and a half.
But man, thanks everybody for coming out. That's pretty good. We've dropped down to 15 people now. 2 of them are us. I mean, I think Craig's got it on his laptop, and then I've got it on the computer here, so I can sit back here and like and comment on everybody.
But for people to stay on as long as they did, pretty cool. So we might have something here.
For 2 ugly guys that aren't good to look at. But yeah, it's throw topics at us, throw concerns.
We got plenty of stuff lined up so far.
Still take input.
But we can do the comments at the end like this.
Yep, I think that's fun, especially if we have a guest on there. we can pass your questions along to them, and as long as they're good, solid questions that aren't inflammatory or disrespectful.
I think we're going to have some really good guests on.
Yeah.
And thanks, Jonathan.
Face for radio.
I've got a pretty wife and great kids. That's all that matters.
Face for radio. That's a fact.
So let's call it a night, Eric.
Let's call it a night. Well, thank you for all the interactions, likes, hearts, follows, shares. We appreciate that. That helps the channel grow.
Share us on your page so we can get more people following ours.
There you go.
And we can help this thing grow because we want this to grow pretty big. Want to be Frankfort's #1 podcast.
Well, it'll be really easy to get people guests that are interesting on here if they know. Like, look, you're going to reach 1,000 people instantaneously in Frankfort with real news, real information coming straight from you.
From the source. Not some opinion person or somebody offering their opinion.
Right.
Be the real person.
You're going to reach more people than the city commission does.
Yeah, because there was nobody at the last one.
I mean, I always watch the numbers.
The
numbers are small, and that's not a bash to the city commission. That's a disappointment in the citizenry.
Well, and
you should be interested in what they're talking about.
Yeah, I've asked the people that run the show and said and I've talked to the folks at the plant board that most of their viewership is on cable 10.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
I don't have
watching
cables.
it on their TV, right? And we're going to rely solely on this,
right? Yeah,
to build our numbers and hopefully build them good, and we'll build it with a good guest, good questions, and good information.
That's right. Well, everybody, we appreciate it, and we're going to go ahead and sign off here.
Could you say Happy Buffalo Trails to you?
Happy Buffalo Trails. That's right. White buffalo. Go look up what the white buffalo means. That's not a. I had to throw that caveat out there. It's not a racist statement. It's not a statement against Buffalo Trace.
It's spiritual.
It's spiritual.
Positive.
The white. It's very, very positive. White buffalo by natives are considered a very sacred animal. And if you go on the page, you can click on it, and I put it in the description of the picture. If you look under photos, I'm not going to tell you. We'll make you go look for it, just so that you can click on something for us. But anyway,
let's call it a day.
Let's call it a day.
Sign us off, Eric.
This is why the wives don't like us to get together. I've already took our picture off, so you guys have a good one. We appreciate you coming out.
Thank you. That went a lot longer than I